Hello and welcome back to Division I Rejects. Kobe Manzo, joined by Drew Carpenter today. Drew, just had a little Chipotle bowl. How we feeling? Still nice and tan from your time down in Florida?
Yeah, just trying to stay tan.
Just trying to keep the color?
Yeah, got a little tan line going because we're cut off to work. But, we'll get
big
it.
cutoff guy.
We'll get it. Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it figured out.
On today's episode, we've got a great guest that'll be joining us. We've got Josh Fusco, a junior linebacker from Saginaw Valley State, Drew's favorite school in the GLIAC. And then we'll get into some NFL conversation. Drew, where is Julio Jones going?
That's
what we'll answer today.
We break down. Who doesn't know? Skip Bayless.
We'll break down the most possible routes for the stud wide receiver who said he's not going back to Atlanta. So we'll talk about
Dallas.
that. Or Dallas, apparently, as well. But other than that, we're going to break down the NFC West as we kind of continue on this road of breaking down every division in the NFL week by week as far as the strength of schedule, all of these things, competition within the division. But as always, you can find the video version of the podcast on YouTube if you are watching. Hello. You can see Drew scrolling through TikTok right now, probably on mute. But otherwise, you can listen to us pretty much everywhere else. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. There's like 20 different platforms. There's no excuse to not listen to us. If you do enjoy it, tell somebody else about it. I'd really appreciate it. Drew would too. Follow us on Twitter at D1_Rejects, Instagram at Division I Rejects to see highlights from the show. But first, our guest on today's episode is junior linebacker at Saginaw Valley State University, Josh Fusco. What's going on, Josh? How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Fantastic, man. Excited to get you on. I know we had Coach Burton on a while back, but otherwise I don't think we've had much Saginaw Valley representation. I will say Coach Brady was supposed to make an appearance in that, and that never happened. So I'm a little bitter about that. So if we can make that happen in the future, I would love to. But, man, how's your summer been, man?
It's been good. Good start so far. Just been, doing workouts, get my body back, from the spring ball and all that.
Of course.
It's been a long year and a half or however it's been since our game. So, just trying to prepare myself right now, and, I've just been working.
Yeah, talk about spring ball and getting your body right, all of that stuff, which is great to hear. But how much of that did you actually get experience-wise? I know we, up in the UP Northern, got gating 3 different schools just in the spring. But what was that situation like for you guys?
We got quite a bit in. We were on and off too, with COVID cases, and we'd have to shut down, like for a week or two. And but I think we got probably about the same amount of practices. We were working out still, certain amount of groups working out and stuff like that. So, we got as much as we could in, but, we did what we could with the situation we were in.
Yeah, now what was the hardest part about that? I know for us, and it was a good thing, I say it every time, Northern did not mess around about COVID stuff. If 1 or 2 guys on the football team got it, that whole group, lifting group, or even sometimes we got pulled the plug on the whole program. But for you guys, what was the hardest part about that? Was just kind of not really knowing what your schedule could be the next couple of weeks, or what was it?
Yeah, we were the same way. Saginaw took it very, very serious.
Okay.
One guy got it, and it was all over for a week or whatever.
Man.
It was hard because we get momentum going, we feel good as a team. We're working hard, and then the next day we get a text, hey, it's it's canceled for a week, and we have no idea what's going on and when we're coming back and who has it, and so it was a hot mess when it was going down. But our coaches were very they communicated very well, and I feel like that helped us a lot because I feel like without the communication it would have been very hard for us. But with them, they communicated well, and I feel like that just kept us going even with the stoppages and stuff like that. So
yeah, no, that's good to hear. And I know a lot of guys, especially up at Northern, guys are there to play football, obviously to get their degree, but outside of football and school, a lot of these guys in the squad do not have much else to do. They're not going to be working jobs typically while they're in football season or whatever. I had kind of a unique situation where I was doing a little bit of part-time work, so I had to fill my time. But then you just get these guys that are in the gym for 6 hours a day. A lot of these guys, just what do they call the gym bros or whatever?
Or the 2K grinders,
the 2K
guys.
Oh, dude, they get the franchise started, and then you got 20 guys in a franchise.
My career.
Yeah, exactly. All that.
Josh, I remember when you guys got canceled or paused or whatever you want to say, because I remember we were supposed to scrimmage Saginaw Valley, and then ultimately it never happened. I think you guys came off spring break or something like that, and it was inevitable that someone was going to get COVID.
Was it really right off spring break?
Yeah, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken. Was it, Josh?
I don't know if we were supposed to. I know we were supposed to do something with you guys, like a joint practice or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't. Yeah, we just had everything get canceled. Like we were supposed to have a game with Hillsdale.
I
Got
saw
canceled.
that. Yeah.
We were supposed to scrimmage Northwood. Got canceled. It was just. I don't know, dude. We had so many things planned, and then it just kept getting canceled and canceled. So.
And the Hillsdale situation was so unique because Hillsdale, I believe, was going to count that as an official game, but obviously for you guys, that was just a scrimmage. So I had never seen something like that before. I know Davenport went down to, was it Gannon? Right, Drew? I think.
Yeah.
They went down and played Gannon, I believe, and I think that counted same situation. Like that counted as an official game for Gannon, but not for Davenport. I've never seen.
Well, it's because the
something
GMAC
like that before.
was playing.
I know, so they had that
wasn't.
season. Yeah, so. I don't know. It was all super weird. Let's talk about your particular situation, though, a little bit, though. Getting outside of Saginaw Valley, you committed to Indiana Wesleyan out of high school, spent a year playing for the Wildcats before now being with Saginaw Valley. What was it like playing down there? I visited a few times. I like the program. Kind of not to talk about myself too much, but weird story. I guess one of the coach's contacts got lost in my phone, and then he texted me like 2 months later, and I didn't have the contact. So I was like already so far in the recruiting process, I had already kind of written them off. I thought they were not interested. But anyways, I don't know. What'd you think of Indiana Wesleyan playing down there for a new program?
It was sweet. Coming in there, just being a part of something new. It just felt good, just being like part of a building process.
I bet.
They had everything going. I mean, the coaches were prepared. They were solid coaches, solid facilities, really good school. It was fun. It just wasn't for me personally.
Yeah, of course.
There's like I said, it was a really good program. I wish if it would have been a good fit, I would stay for sure. But
okay.
I just felt like elsewhere was better for me, and then Saginaw came calling, and I just felt like that was my home. So
I love to hear that, man. Now, what are you majoring in, if you know yet?
Exercise science. I'm trying to be like a strength coach, something
Good
like
stuff.
that in that type of area.
Yeah, so on my game day visit, you guys were playing Siena Heights. That was back in 2019, and you guys beat them up. And I remember just like that was a great atmosphere. Like that stadium, obviously being completely brand new, and just like touring that weight room and the facility at the end of the field and everything. I mean, they've got some dogs. They had a really solid team, especially for. I always make a comparison, even though it's kind of unfair, but like the comparison from them to Lawrence Tech, since they entered that. That's the WAC, correct? So they entered the WAC in that same year. But you look at a team like Lawrence Tech, who just did not have the fundamentally sound pieces to compete at that level. Because NAIA, people don't realize NAIA is no joke, especially in the WAC. Dude, you've got teams like Siena Heights,
Marion.
like St. Francis, Marion. Those teams like have been around, been established. So, dude, for you guys to come out there and beat those guys at home, I thought that was awesome on my visit. What was that game like for you?
Man, it was crazy. Every game was crazy for me. I mean, just the atmosphere. And everybody talks down on smaller schools like D2, NAI, but the atmosphere, if people cheering, people yelling, there's more than thousands and thousands of people there, and it goes crazy. And I mean, like Indiana Wesleyan, they were good at getting the news out there with games and everything like that. And we had a very supportive community.
That's awesome.
And it was cool. And I mean, the coaches, I mean, coming in, like you said, it was like Marion and stuff like that. They're tough opponents, and
they are, dude.
But going to the national championship every other year or something like that. Heights is always ranked. Concordia is always ranked. But I mean, the coaches, we had dogs. I mean, we had kids like Braden Smith, who's been an All-American for 3 years now or something like that.
Oh shit, okay.
We had a quarterback that was from Ball State, and I mean, there's kids in NAI that can just ball flat out. And so we got those kids, and I mean, people, and I just feel like they underestimated us too. I feel like they thought we were going to be another Lawrence Tech coming in, something like that. And so, we came in, and I mean, we did what we had to do, and sometimes we got the job done. Sometimes we fell short, but I mean, I felt like that came in with the inexperience too as well. Sometimes because we were always a younger team, we always.
Oh yeah, well that comes with not having a team and having that. Now they redshirted that first initial class, right? I think they took that whole class and just held them for a year to kind of get them up to speed, competition wise, age wise. Yeah,
they had they pretty much just did a whole year of spring ball, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Interesting.
And they just just did strength and stuff like that with them. So
I got you.
I mean, they prepared them. I mean, coming in, they were. I mean, coming in, I was like, oh man, new program. I'm gonna be coming in right away playing.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I'm telling you, I came in there. There were just some dogs there.
Damn.
And it was. I mean, it was cool though. You know what I'm saying? For them to be able to get those type of kids with a new program, trying
it's
to
impressive.
literally. Yeah, and they didn't even have their facilities all built yet, so they're literally showing these dudes slideshows of just pictures. So that's what I got pretty much. I didn't even get to see everything yet because it just wasn't built yet. And so I mean, they were good. They were good at recruiting, and I mean, they got me there. And I mean, they didn't underpromise. I mean, everything was as they said, and even more actually. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah. So Josh, essentially, I mean, what I'm getting out of this, and I feel like this is for most D2 and NAIA, is you're going to have some guys who are looking to be like, oh, I'm still going to try to go to the league. But essentially most guys are like, I want to get my education. I want to further my career, because at this point, football is like a blessing.
Yeah.
And so
like anything after high school really isn't guaranteed.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So,
exactly.
And so, like, I mean, you're saying it right. Like, there are going to be some dogs wherever you go, right? There's no joke at any school. So one thing that I see that Kobe has written down is that you came out of high school, you were playing more of a running back and safety, and now you're playing more of a linebacker. So, like, what was the biggest adjustment? Maybe like the hardest thing that you had to do? Did you have to like put on weight or all that type of stuff? Like, what was that adjustment been like so far?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard on me for sure. You know, because I was like really expecting to come in there, play running back, and then like, you know, sort of just last second got moved.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it was particularly like the size or speed. I think it was more just being able to understand like the defensive IQ and defensive plays, and it was just because it's just totally different. But you know, the coach that I had at IW and at Saginaw now, you know, they've been working with me, and you know, they've been relating it to offense a little bit. Like, hey, like, you know, you see the hole as a running back, where you're doing the same thing as a linebacker.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just reading your keys, you know, knowing what to read, knowing what to look at. It's just, that was the biggest thing for me. Obviously, I had to put on a little bit more size, you know, being in the box.
Hell yeah.
So that was, I mean, I've never had a problem putting on size because like, I love eating. That's always been my big thing.
Nothing wrong with that.
A little dirty bulk.
But yeah, so I mean, it was just more like the IQ and understanding the defense more. That was a very hard adjustment. But you know, now being in like
made it work,
having a year under my belt, it's been a little bit easier for me, and you know, I'm getting there. So
that's awesome, dude. I know Drew and I both were guys that played on both sides of the ball in high school. You obviously were too, but I was just thinking, looking at that, like I'm a different dude when I play defense. You know what I mean? I don't know. My mindset was a lot different. I feel like I bring, like, I'm, you know, you give that whole like nail and the hammer bullshit that the coaches always give you. It's not bullshit, but you know what I mean? I was always like the hammer and like when I carry the ball, but when I go onto the defensive side of the ball, I feel like I lose a lot of that pop.
No, I mean, I can definitely agree with what you're saying.
You know what I mean? It was just, I mean, maybe, you know, obviously.
It's more of a mindset change, honestly, because when you have the ball in your hands, and Josh, I'm sure you can relate to this.
Yeah.
When you have the ball in the hands, you're just looking to essentially run someone over. But on defense, me playing safety and everything like that, coming up in the run fit, you got to figure out where your run fit is and all that type of stuff. You're not just looking to kill someone, because if you do that, you can get trucked by a blindside block. Like, your head's got to be more on the swivel, if you should say, because you know, you got to fill that gap. But at the same time, if you try to fill that gap too soon, play action pass, that thing's a touchdown.
And I will say my options are somewhat limited, knowing that I'm not going to be outrunning many defensive backs in the GLIAC. But, you know, it is what it is. But, Josh, I did want to ask you, you had an offer from Saginaw Valley initially coming out of high school at Zeeland East. So what was it that made you choose Indiana Wesleyan, like, initially? Because, like you said, you were getting slideshows, you were getting pictures, and I know a lot of the times it's really hard for guys to commit to things that aren't really physically here yet. You know, talking to commit to the future or what the coaches promised. And like you said, they did not underpromise, they over-delivered, right? And it was a great experience for you. But what made you choose Indiana Wesleyan in the NAIA route over schools in the GLIAC?
So, I mean, I was always, so my home's close to GVSU in Grand Valley. That's where I wanted to go. And, you know, things didn't work out there. Saginaw offered me, you know, I was excited. I was like, man, now I can compete against these guys, you know, like, you know how it is.
Dude,
like
that's like everybody. Yeah, there are a ton of guys, and I know Drew and I are kind of in that same boat. Like, personally, like, we're guys that, you know, Drew, what you was Tech and Northwood?
Tech and Northwood were my final two, yeah.
Yeah, and then, like, for me, it was Michigan Tech and Northern. Like, you know, you don't get attention from, like, the...
Yeah, I mean, you can get... I feel like when you're getting attention from one school, you can get attention from other schools as well.
But then, like, Grand Valley and all that, they're just on the next
There's obviously, like, for instance, Wayne State may not look at you the same as Northwood may or Davenport or something
and that
like
has to do with, like, the strength or how good they're doing initially. But trust me, bro, we know exactly what you mean. We're here trying to compete with all those big dogs and, you know, make them hurt.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. And, I mean, like, NAI, you know, they came in and, you know, they were just sending me letters after letters, and, you know, they were always there. You know, they were at my games. You know, they were at school in the middle of the day, and they were just always talking to me. So I was like, man, you know, these guys really, like, love me. Like, I'm like, I like what they're talking about, and I just felt like because Saginaw also didn't have the same coaching staff as they do now.
Yeah, they cleaned house, right?
That.
Yeah, they did.
So that was a big thing. Is like I wasn't like I was cool with that coaching staff, but I wasn't a huge fan.
I got you.
So like I really liked the coaching staff at Indiana Wesleyan, so I chose them. But then once everything happened, I was ready to transfer. Brady was recruiting me at Ferris, so I knew him from there, from camp, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I knew Reinhardt, I knew
Coach
Burton, because Coach Burton was still there. Coach Burton, I love Coach Burton, and that dude was in my school all the time talking to me too. So and I didn't know he was still there. I just thought they cleaned house, so
really?
I was just like, yeah. So I was just like, all right, And then Brady hit me up as soon as I went to the transfer. The linebacker coach hit me up, and I just fell in love with them. I always loved the school. Their facilities are super nice, so it was sort of an easy decision after that point when I got that call from Brady. So
yeah, that's awesome, dude. And it's just go where you're wanted, right? And I think that gets lost for a lot of guys that get caught up in if I post this, I might get way more attention than if I post this school and blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, you're the one that's gonna have to sit through this and really go through this process. And I know I was just out hanging out with a buddy of mine who's playing JUCO football in Iowa the other day, and man, if there isn't stuff that he'd go back and try and fix, he was a guy that had to get the grade point average up in high school or whatever, and he's like, that JUCO struggle is real, man. I think guys just start to forget you got to go where you're wanted and make the best of the process right now, because you just want to end up somewhere you're going to enjoy it, man.
Yeah, and you also want to make sure that you build those relationships.
Yeah.
Because there are some of those coaches out there
that move around
that they're not. I mean, yeah, they want you to get to their school, but they only want you to get to their school so
help them keep their job.
Them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then once they're in a good spot, they'll leave.
Yeah. And not to take a book,
it's a business.
We've had some great high school coaches, but it's everything's to the next level at the college level, right? You're talking about guys, this is their full profession. So if they don't have this coaching job, or if they're losing games,
they're not just a gym teacher at the
right?
school.
Yeah. Exactly. This isn't something that's just adding on.
It's
100% a business, and we're starting to see that a lot more. But the coach comes home one day and he's gonna have to tell his family that they got to move across the country to go coach somewhere else. I just couldn't imagine that conversation. And like you said, I want to talk about the business side a little bit of it. Transfer portal wise, it sounded like it was a pretty easy transition for you. Was it really just, like you said, just not the right fit at Indiana Wesleyan, wasn't what you're looking for? And then kind of just, how long was that transition process from there to finding out you're going to head over to SVSU?
So it was actually difficult because I didn't make that decision right away.
Okay.
They were definitely my top choice at that moment and throughout that process. But I was always open up to, I was talking to other NAI schools. I was talking to other D2 schools as well. I was talking to, you know how it is, everybody wants to go D1. So I was trying to get, trying to figure out, because I had some film. So I was like, okay, I'll try to send it out. But,
yeah, it seemed like you got on the field a lot. Not to cut you off, but it seemed like you put a decent amount on film, whether it be on the defensive side of the ball, which I saw a decent amount of, or just on the special teams. I saw you had a couple block punts or something on there to put on film. I think that was, I would assume, at least a huge help for you trying to find a new home.
Yeah, no, it definitely helped having film. I feel like if I just had film, my high school film, I might have been able to, get a smaller school's attention. But definitely having that college film a little bit helped me for sure.
I bet.
But yeah, no, I mean, it was still a tough process. The whole recruiting process is always tough because everybody tells you, oh, we love you, we want you here. And like you guys were saying, but next day they could be gone.
100%,
you don't know
dude.
what's going to happen. So and my father was always a big advocate. You want to fall in love with the school, the people in the school, So even if something does happen, you're still where you feel at home.
Totally.
And so, I went on a couple of visits, and even with the coaching staff, I love the coaching staff at Saginaw, but when I went there, the community was awesome. The people there, the people on the team were awesome. I loved everything about it. And so that's why I was just I'm gonna pick there. But yeah, like you said, it was still a hard recruiting process after transferring, but I mean, it definitely helped a lot having Saginaw.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I'll leave you with this. I got one more point that I want to talk about with you, because I was just talking with Drew about this before we got on the podcast here, but this isn't pertaining to football yet. It could be in the future, but some mid-major programs, so that'd be Group of 5 schools, like the MAC would be a good example of that, non-Power 5 schools. They're considering not playing against Power 5 teams. And like I said, this is right now in basketball. but they're considering taking them off the schedule because they feel like the bigger schools are just taking a lot of their best players, basically. Like these games are just offering them an opportunity to come and scout all of the ballers at this, the group of 5 mid-major school level. And I think this is something that we're starting to see in football too, with the introduction of the transfer portal across NCAA. And I know NAIA is a little bit different as far as their rules go, but now obviously being in the NCAA and being in that realm, I mean, what do you think of all this? Because we were talking, and the biggest point that Drew and I took away from this was that, they'd have to step out of those games and lose a lot of money because those programs get paid a lot to go and get beat up at, a Michigan State, like a Bowling Green going to a Michigan and a Michigan State type. I just thought that was really interesting. And, the transfer portal right now, what did you think of all that?
I mean, it's tough. I don't think people should be looking to move from their school. I mean, if you choose them, I feel like it's sort of like a loyalty thing.
Yeah.
And I get it. People want to play at that higher level, but if you, like you said, it's a blessing to play every day. Even if you go there because they scouted you, who knows that they really just wanted you there just to be another tackling dummy that gives their guy that they really love somebody to compete against.
Yeah.
Or, you don't know what it is. And I mean, I just feel like for people like the higher schools to be, using those games as a scout is sort of just ridiculous to me because like that means they're not really ridiculous. Just it's just they're not focusing on their team. They're not focusing on getting the players that they brought in better and, providing a good environment for them. And for the kids on their team knowing, okay, they're scouting other kids to replace me instead of, coaching me like they said they were going to. And it sort of hurts the team chemistry.
Distrust,
it hurts the trust between the coaches. And so and I feel like players too, like using, say, like I use NAI just to go up higher. Like that's just sort of BS to me because like, I'm wasting those coaches' times too because they invested a lot of time, money, effort into me.
I think it's a hard balance. I think it's a really hard balance because you have all of these coaches and these members of these organizations that are so invested into these programs, and they're going to do everything possible to try and get their team to win games or to try and get their team to succeed in any facet of the game that's possible. But it's hard to find that balance of like restricting them and kind of letting them do their things because there's only so many things you can do.
Well, I think
to kind of like there's no way you could really stop this type of thing.
I think football is going to be more of a harder chance for.
Yeah, basketball you can definitely shine individually on a team.
Yeah, that's the thing about basketball. Like when you look at, I don't know, Josh, how much you follow college basketball. When you look at Michigan, they just got Mike Smith, and Mike Smith was the star at Columbia, right?
Okay.
He transfers there. He averaged 18 points a game at Columbia.
I didn't know that.
Then they just get some guy from Coastal Carolina, their best player. So it makes more sense for college basketball players because I feel like college basketball, those littler schools, like for instance in Oakland University, if Kay Felder would have wanted to leave, you know what I mean? All those type of stuff.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But in football, like if Jarrett Patterson were to transfer from Buffalo to Alabama,
that would have been way different. It's all about system. It's all about how you fit in the system. That's a good point. So I think, I don't know, I just wanted to bring that up because I thought it was a super interesting article that I was reading earlier today. But Josh, can't thank you enough, man. I really appreciate your time. It's been a good talk.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me on. It was really fun.
All right. See you, buddy. Hope they have you on sometime in the future.
Awesome. Sweet. Appreciate it, guys.
Have a good one, dog. Good conversation with our buddy Josh.
Yeah. Sounded like a great guy. Sounded like someone who's finally
really down to earth.
Found his new home.
It sounded like it.
That's always what you want to have when you
I feel like we've heard a lot of those stories on here.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, essentially, I feel like
which is good. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, when you're not even when you are a Division I athlete, I feel like you're looking for that home, but that's more of like, okay, what can get me to the pros faster?
Oh yeah,
right. But like when you're Division II and everything like that,
different agenda.
Yeah, it's a different agenda. You have more, let's say, like more factors. I feel like because you're not looking at just
that play into the decision. Oh my goodness,
there's great schools out there that might not have your major.
Yeah, dude, trust me. Yeah, for those of you listening who don't know, I'm a multimedia journalism major, and good luck finding that literally anywhere that has a football program that wasn't a Division I school that I could actually play.
Yeah.
That narrowed it down pretty quick.
Very fast.
Very, very fast. But today I wanted to talk about the Julio Jones sweepstakes, as I'm calling it. And, it's been on a lot of news, but I'll give it a little bit of recap for those who have not seen or watched it. Shannon Sharpe called Julio on Undisputed, while him and Skip Bayless were live on television, which is really the problem in all of this, and you'll see why. When asked if he was staying with the Falcons in Atlanta, Julio told Shannon, quote, "I'm out of there." And when asked if he was going to the Dallas Cowboys, because was a picture taken with a Cowboy shirt, or was it?
I guess he had a Cowboy shirt on, and Skip Bayless being a very big Cowboys fan
was
Hey, like to ask
he's
him
tapping
about
the desk. He's tapping the desk. He's like, Shannon, ask him about Dallas. That's like when you're like on the phone with your mom. Ask him if you can stay the night.
Yeah.
Ask him if you can stay. That was the same energy from Skip right there
no,
across the desk.
That's a very good comparison.
Thank you. I was cooking that one up earlier, and I was like, Drew appreciate this one. But anyways, when asked about Dallas, he said, I ain't going to Dallas, man. I never thought about going to them because he wants to win. That's what he said.
Well,
so,
essentially, if you want to win the NFC East, you don't go to Dallas.
No.
Because they haven't won the NFC East in what?
Where do you go if you want to win the NFC East? The Giants?
Football team.
I might be with you there. But so now Shannon and Fox Sports, because Fox Sports is must be the higher up over Undisputed, which I didn't realize. Their relationship with the NFL as an NFL TV partner might now be in a little bit of jeopardy. Might be in a little bit of trouble because they violated some things. I don't know. There were some very specific things that they violated, but basically the problem was, the Falcons were not made aware of this interview. And if you're not watching the video, I use air quotes there, interview, because it's a member of the media talking to a player, right? And so I guess technically that's really an interview. Like they're asking him questions about potentially team and player personal matters. And the Falcons weren't aware of it, which was some type of violation. I don't understand why. I can see your look on your face. But the other piece of that was an issue for the NFL, is that Julio didn't sound like he knew he was on live air until
That's the only thing that I would be a little upset about if I were Julio Jones.
Yeah.
The Falcons, I feel like, have no area to be upset about because Stephen Curry goes live after every single game, it seems like.
Yeah.
And Chase Claypool's live on TikTok calling out the Browns, all this stuff. People do this. Stuff live.
It all comes.
No,
I'm
just thinking of the most recent thing.
Yeah, you're right.
And people always do these live streams and they answer these questions that fans are asking. Essentially, in this aspect, Shannon Sharp's a former football player, but he's also a fan.
Yeah.
So when he just asked,
he's his favorite uncle. He said,
I guess so.
I knew you was gonna pick up for your favorite uncle.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, nothing. I can't really say anything about that. I mean, I'm not the biggest Shannon Sharp fan in general because he's just an avid LeBron supporter. So
he does love his LeBron.
But
his Twitter game, though.
Who, Shannon? Shannon's got a good Twitter game.
Good Twitter game.
I don't really mind Shannon Sharp, except I just don't like when he talks about LeBron.
Yeah,
anyway,
I knew it.
But
thanks for admitting it.
No, Julio Jones, the only thing I would be upset about is just the simple fact that he did not know. When Stephen Curry presses the live button, when Claypool, when Juju, all those guys,
already know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when Shannon finished that call and he said, "We're live, by the way, see ya," and basically hung up on him, I'm sitting there, I'm like, he really just violated this dude on like that. Yeah. That should not. And so now I can really understand.
He's gonna be his favorite uncle anymore.
He is definitely not the favorite uncle anymore. So the incident could potentially limit Fox getting access with not only the Falcons but other teams in the league. Could you imagine if the repercussions from this actually came that far? Because Fox, dude, Shannon would be in some big trouble if that happened. Now, I don't think
got Colin Cowherd, so everyone wants to talk to him.
I don't think it will go that far. Plus, I was reading also a lot of the actual, what am I looking for? The problems would actually arise if somebody made a complaint about the situation. Now, is Julio Jones going to file an official complaint against his favorite uncle? No. So I don't think it's going to go that far.
I don't think the Falcons would either because the Falcons essentially are like, hey, now we know Julio does not want to be here.
Dude,
let's trade for him.
I think that was pretty obvious, but he just came out and kind of made that final statement. Now, he signed, it was over $60 million contract extension just a couple of years ago. It was a 3-year extension. He's still got 1 year left.
Let's look at the Falcons essentially 3 years ago. Coming off a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Then they had a good season, and then they got bad, and then they got worse, and now Julio's like...
Now he wants out.
Where's my future here?
It's not.
Julio's at the tail end of his career. Julio was doing what Calvin Johnson should have done.
I would say he's in the latter half. I wouldn't say tail end. I'd say the second half.
Yeah. But essentially, Julio's doing what Calvin Johnson should have been doing.
Okay, that's a fair comparison.
Calvin was 30 when he retired. Yeah. Julio Jones 32. There was no direction for him going forward with his team.
Oh, yeah.
Say I want out, try to go win.
He's 32.
Yeah.
No, he's 32.
Yeah.
Man.
Him and Cam getting up there in age.
They are, dude. So that brings me right into our next point as some possible destinations. Julio possibly going to team up with your boy Cam. But let's talk about where Jones could actually end up. He's slated to make over $15 million this coming year, and only about a quarter of the teams in the NFL can even afford to make a move on a wide receiver or a player in general like that.
They would have to trade other people that essentially...
Very true, but even still, the number of teams that's even plausible to make this type of blockbuster trade happen is very minimal. Yeah. So I guess we'll start right off with your boy Cam and the Patriots. Bill Belichick has already spent more money than any year before, signing those 2 tight ends in the offseason, right? Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, correct? And, for him, at this point, he might just be like, why not? All in. We could use another set on the outside to give Cam a little bit of help. What?
Or Mac.
Or Mac, true. We don't know yet. I'd still err on the side of Cam, but I guess we don't know. Who else is on the outside for the Patriots?
Nelson Aguilar.
Aguilar was a new signing, right? Yeah.
They just signed Kendrick Bourne from San Francisco.
I don't know. That name doesn't ring a bell.
And, San Francisco wide receivers, there's not much you can do with those guys because they only throw the ball at
Kittle.
There
you go. Yeah. So, at this point, but nothing Belichick does. He's just kind of gone. He's pulled all tricks out of the hat now. I think he's right now, maybe self-consciously, he's not trying to prove to people, but really he's trying to prove to people that he doesn't need Tom Brady to win.
Well,
they're going to put together a successful season.
You can at least try to show that you don't need him. He's not going to make playoffs, but it's no big deal.
No, I don't think they will either. I agree with you, but I think they're going to have a solid year this year. I really do. In that division, I think they're going to do pretty well.
I think they're the 3rd best team in that division.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's fair. But especially with the Bills. You can't argue
Dolphins.
that. The Dolphins.
It depends on which quarterback from Alabama plays better this year.
That's a great point. That is a great point. Now, the part that Miami has that the Patriots do not is the defensive side. Is
Patriots. Well, the Patriots are returning a lot of their defensive guys because they opted out.
Yeah. Well, that's not a bad point either.
Was out.
Yep.
Gilmore was out.
Okay. So there you go. So the Patriots.
Hightower.
I think that number 2 spot in the division will be up for grabs. I think so.
They just re-signed Kyle Van Noy.
I don't think they did. He got dropped from
Miami.
Yeah, he got dropped.
That was a very interesting drop.
I know. Too. I was very confused by that too. I like him.
Yeah,
I do.
Former Lion.
He was. That's part of the reason why I like him. But
I got a Lion story.
Another potential destination for Julio Jones. This one makes a lot of sense for me, and I'd love to see it happen. Is the Tennessee Titans? Excuse me, there. But this is probably the worst fit financially as far as the 4 teams we're going to talk about right now, or maybe 5. We'll talk about one that you brought up, but. The Titans lost both Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith in the offseason. 2 big-time weapons.
And they lost
kind of under-the-radar weapons.
Humphreys.
They did.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
I think he went to the Jets.
But those were 2 guys that were kind of under the radar because A.J. Brown was kind of like their number 1 guy.
Yeah. Well, and Derrick Henry.
Well, yeah, that's very true. I'm just talking wide. He made a lot of impact out of the backfield. You know what I mean? Catching balls. But they were under-the-radar guys that had a huge impact on the game. And the way the Titans paced their offense going down the field, they had a huge impact. So losing them, it might not seem as big of a deal to casual fans, but I think
Corey Davis is going to be a big deal.
He is going to be a big deal. So bringing a guy like Julio over to the Titans, that'd be unreal. So a guy like Tannehill gets it done, dude.
Yeah.
Tannehill gets it done.
And essentially, I feel like it wouldn't even be like, when a team's going to trade for someone, they're like, who will this benefit the most?
Yeah.
I really feel like it's not going to be Tannehill, and I don't think it's going to be Derrick Henry either. I think it's going to benefit A.J. Brown because A.J. Brown right now,
and he's the
dude,
and he's making TikToks. He's DMing the dude.
Exactly. He knows what he's doing.
He's doing
That's the guy he grew up liking a lot.
Yeah, he had a DM from 5 years ago. Like, hey, bro, before the draft.
Yeah.
Like, hey, bro, I really respect your game.
Didn't respond to him.
He didn't even like it.
At least AB responded to Juju when remember when that happened?
Right? Yeah.
Anyway.
So he gave a little up arrow. He was like, "You see, bro, I've been on this. I'm not just right now." So I thought that was pretty cool.
But yeah, I think AJ Brown's looking at when you look at Seattle, DK Metcalf's the 1.
Yep.
Tyler Lockett's a really solid 2. But AJ Brown's a 1. And you add a 1 like Julio, teams are going to want to guard Julio more than AJ Brown because Julio's better.
Yeah. I mean, at least right now, 100%. I agree with you. Let's move on to the third possible destination, the Broncos.
Yeah, I don't see this one happening.
This was the one that I just saw on a couple different lists.
Okay.
And it must just be because Denver has the 4th most cap space in the NFL as it stands. And they seem to be in a weird combination of spots because they have that much cap space, but they're also in a position where they could feasibly make the playoffs.
What?
I'm just saying.
No.
I'm saying
if Aaron Rodgers is their quarterback, sure.
Okay,
but
that's true.
That's what I feel like a lot of this depends on is everyone's hyping up the Broncos to be something that they're not.
I agree.
Until you get Aaron Rodgers,
I agree with you.
Good.
Trust me, I agree with you. But just looking at some of the pieces they have, they have a chance in their schedule. They have a chance to win a decent amount of games. I'm not saying they're a lock for playoffs. No way.
But
they're not even a lock for their division.
They're the 4th best team in their division.
Really?
The Raiders are better than them. The Chargers are going to be
inconsistent.
The Chargers are going to be better than them.
The Chargers should be.
And the Chiefs are.
The Chiefs are obviously better than them. But the Raiders, I see the Raiders having a down year like a bad year.
No, that makes sense, but I think
the Raiders are going to finish fourth.
But I think John Gruden's a better coach than Vic Fangio.
I thought so too before he came back to coach the Raiders. Yeah, and I've questioned so many of his decisions. Him and Mike Mayock.
I agree, but at the same time, Mike Mayock, I don't know how you can be so right when you're an analyst on NFL Network
and then just shit the bed.
So wrong when you're the GM.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah, Alex Leatherwood was the second round draft pick. They took him in the first round.
And I remember him rationalizing it as like, we got the guys that we wanted. It didn't matter where we got them.
Trade back.
Exactly. You did, but you could have done it for less.
Yeah.
What
do you do?
Sometimes you
could have done it. Essentially, did it for more.
Nothing. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, you know what I mean.
You would have gotten more back.
So it's really intriguing to me. But I mean, you talk about an offense in Denver that already has Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, and KJ Hamler's still there, right? Noah Fant. He's in Denver?
Yeah, Melvin Gordon. They just got that running back from North Carolina.
I forgot. So
all with Drew Lock.
Exactly. That's the
and Teddy.
Well, I was gonna say Teddy's right there. Yeah. So Teddy's expected to win. Yeah, he's expected to win the job. So if they figure out that quarterback situation, that's an offense that has a lot of potential.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And the defensive side of the ball has been pretty stout for them. They just have not put together a bunch of wins.
Unless Tim Tebow or Peyton Manning's your quarterback, you're not winning.
If Tim Tebow,
one playoff game, that's all.
The tight end situation in Jacksonville doesn't work out for Tebow. The Broncos are like, we need a guy, and we need him now. And Tebow's in the best shape of his life.
Why not?
Give him another chance. Yeah. He's going to win another playoff game in Denver.
Who do you have for the last team?
The last team for me is the Ravens.
No.
Really? I see this.
I hope not.
Dude, you better hope not. You better hope not. NFC North over there. Better than that. Or AFC North, sorry. But
you see the guys we got in our defensive backfield now?
You filled it out. Yeah. You filled it out. But you going to take any of them one-on-one with Julio? Or even double team with Julio?
Denzel Ward, baby.
Hell no.
Yeah, Denzel Ward's a good guy.
Good, not great. Julio's great.
Julio's hurt.
We'll see. But back to the Ravens.
But even if Julio ends up on any other team, he's a great receiver.
So they take Rashad Bateman in the first round because they obviously need to address the wide receiver situation in Baltimore.
And they took that other receiver too.
They did a little bit later on. Was that what round was that?
I think a third.
Was it?
I don't know who.
I don't think it was second.
Yeah, I forget his name.
Yeah, I don't have it written down either. But the Ravens are in a win now mode. This is why it makes sense for me. The Ravens aren't in a building. They're not. They have their young quarterback. They have a lot of pieces around him. They've cleaned up a lot of pieces too, getting rid of Mark Ingram and stuff like that. Like they're ready to win. They've shown they're willing to sacrifice to win.
They lost a lot on defense.
They did lose a good bit on defense.
Judon.
But for me, Judon was big for them. But for me, they need that immediate threat on the outside. Because wide receivers can come in. We saw Justin Jefferson come in and make an impact immediately. Not an impact. Like he was a stud.
Yeah.
Right? And deservedly so, we got that Rookie of the Year award.
Well, if CeeDee Lamb had Dak Prescott all year, I'm sure we would have saw how good he would have been.
I totally agree with that statement as well. So for me, you have Hollywood Brown, who is not a number one receiver.
Hollywood Brown,
he's not a number one receiver.
It's crazy. No, I disagree. Oh, I don't disagree. I agree he would be like a very good Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, I think that's a really good comparison.
But when your quarterback's Lamar Jackson and his favorite thing to do is not throw you the ball, how can you be that good of a receiver?
And he has voiced his displeasures about that on Twitter and such.
Yeah, Hollywood Brown wanted to trade for a little bit.
He did. He wanted out.
Look and see how dominant he was with Kyler and how dominant he was with Baker at Oklahoma, and you're like, how is this guy not that good?
Right.
He's with Lamar, and that's nothing against Lamar.
Yeah.
It's not working out.
It's a different set. It's a different position. Like it really is a different position.
Yeah.
I mean, you're playing differently in a different scheme.
He
and
was
it's
in
just
a
not
spread
right fit.
versus a run heavy offense.
Run first offense. And so for me, like I think his role becomes a lot more clearly defined if they pick up a guy like Julio Jones.
I think his role is going to be a lot better with a guy like Bateman too. So I think
really.
Yeah, because
it just depends on the year that Bateman has, right? And we could see him come out and be a stud. We just don't know yet, and that's the thing. But the last team we wanted to talk about, you said was the Chargers.
Before we get there, I commented on the Lions post, trade for Julio, and some guy, Z Bossy AF, Zach.
Shout out Z Bossy.
Yeah, this guy.
I might have to put, no, I can't put that.
He comments on here, at Drew2 Carpenter. Are you stupid? Jimmy Bones 1975. Dude, Julio's like 60 years old. Why would you want him? And then
bro, you just like what they poke the hive, right?
I guess so.
You poked the Lions hive.
Yeah, but so
these guys are out here trying to restore the roar, and what are you doing?
I know. And so Bleacher Report also did teams that should trade for Julio.
I thought you were gonna say they replied to
the Packers, Packers be. I mean, can you imagine if Packers got Julio?
But they don't need him.
Talk about
they don't need him. Their wide receiver core is so talented.
Talk about, hey, Aaron Rodgers, we want you to stay. Let's get Julio and Devontae Adams.
Gosh.
Whoa.
It's like, wait a minute. Jeopardy,
2 top 5 receivers.
Jeopardy doesn't sound so appealing anymore.
Yeah. Patriots, Titans, that's who they also put. And then there was one team that they had listed that you didn't.
What was that?
A Cleveland Browns. Swear to God.
I didn't see that on any of the lists that I was looking on.
And I thought about it. We'll give you OBJ. We'll send you OBJ.
Ship him out of town?
Yeah, we'll give you OBJ and a second-round draft pick for Julio.
I just don't think you're going to get much
from
OBJ.
Essentially, it was a joke. But
they might not get much from Julio, dude. They're worried they might not even get a first-rounder.
I know.
Isn't that so crazy?
Well, it's crazy because the simple fact is this.
He's old, and he's a wide receiver.
Exactly. But he just had a hamstring issue.
I know, but just to think about Julio Jones in our minds is still this just man amongst boys.
Yeah, I would agree. But DeAndre Hopkins went for David Johnson in the second-round pick.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But he balled out.
Yeah, but back to the Chargers.
And wait, he's been recruiting Julio too, but I just don't see Arizona as being a destination.
No, everyone's recruiting Julio except for the team that I feel like is going to get him eventually. You know, like I feel like there's going to be a team that
never heard anything
like
about
JJ Watt. JJ Watt. Nobody.
Arizona?
Nobody, it was like Green Bay, Steelers, Steelers, and the Browns. It was like those 4.
Yeah.
And then Arizona. Like you're like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
No, that's why I think the Chargers are very appealing because you look at you got Herbert, you got Keenan Allen, you got Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
I feel like that offense could ball. I don't know who the head coach is, like the Rams DC, which I don't like because
head coach where?
The new Chargers head coach.
The Chargers
the Lions got Anthony.
Oh yeah, we got Anthony. Is he OC?
Yeah,
yeah.
And that's one thing I don't like. I don't like when young quarterbacks have defensive-minded head coaches.
That is a great point.
Because
that is a really good point. I think, go ahead and finish your thought.
Well, I just think that you want a coach to help the quarterback succeed.
Totally.
Right? Like Stafford, screwed over by multiple coaches. Gets Jim Caldwell. Look what happens.
Yeah. A little bit
offensive-minded coach.
Yeah.
Baker, screwed over. Gets Stefanski. Look what happens. Josh Allen, at first, he was not very good. He was a defensive-minded coach. This offensive coordinator, I forget his name, Brian Dable, that's his name.
Okay.
He comes in from Alabama, and now look at him.
How long has McDermott been there?
I think McDermott's been there for Josh Allen's whole career.
I want to say he has, but I could be wrong.
But at the same time,
he's a dude.
Josh Allen wasn't very good his first 2 years.
No. He really had a breakout. I mean,
Herbert,
he showed growth, but you're right. It wasn't anything noteworthy as far as like quarterback play.
Balled out with Anthony Lynn.
Yeah, he did.
Right? Like, so you're like, all right.
And so I just wanted to add, like, when we were talking about Dan Campbell, the Lions head coach, and talking about his appearance.
He's essentially an offensive-minded coach.
He's kind of a middle ground. He's an interesting situation, right? But what I loved him talk about was that he's surrounding himself with all of these guys that are qualified to take his job.
Yeah, well,
and like that could be super intimidating for a lot of coaches.
But if you have the confidence in yourself and the confidence in your staff, who cares?
And so I think, he cited Anthony Lynn as one, but Aaron Glenn from the Saints, right?
Yeah.
He's going to be our defensive coordinator, correct? Mm-hmm. And so he said that was a steal.
Yeah.
Like that was an absolute steal. He's overqualified for the position, probably should be a head coach somewhere. Mm-hmm. But like Anthony Lynn's probably, obviously the same way he already has experience at the head coach position. So
but hey,
for me, that was great.
Another one. What is Patrick Mahomes without Andy Reid?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You look at an offensive guy like Doug Peterson. He's a bad offense coordinator. Imagine if Andy or Patrick Mahomes went to Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
Uh-huh.
So that's why but I think the Chargers would take off with Julio.
Yeah.
Back to that.
That's a good point. And I guess we'll have to figure it
out.
But
another thing too.
Nothing's going to happen.
Go back to Atlanta.
Yeah, but nothing's going to happen before. I want to say nothing's really going to happen before June 1st. There's something about that date
his
or
cap.
the deal. Yeah. Something about that. So nothing's going to happen until then. Also, I guess like they were talking about how receivers coming back have a tendency to get injured in the first couple of weeks. So like his stock might go. I don't know. Falcons are trying to play all their cards right.
Well, the Falcons haven't been playing their cards, and this is back to the thing we were just talking about.
They haven't been playing shit.
Kyle Shanahan left.
Yep.
And look what happened to that offense.
Boom.
Down.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Shanahan.
Left.
You're talking about the Falcons. You're talking about the Falcons. Okay.
Yes.
I thought you were talking about like his offense when he left.
No, when he left the Falcons, they haven't been the same.
I see. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. That's not even a young quarterback. That was an old guy.
Yeah. So we'll finish up today with a little bit of conversation about the NFC West. So in the NFC West, obviously we've got the 49ers, the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Seahawks.
Toughest division.
Okay, I was going to say arguably the best division in football. We're going right into it. Toughest division. I thought you were going to say AFC North.
No, just because I think the Cardinals are better than the Bengals.
So you still... Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think the
You were
Steelers are
there.
good. No.
They just won
I think
16 games in a row. Or not, sorry,
Whoa.
12 games in a row. Sorry, I don't know why.
I thought it was 11.
I think it was 11. Was it 11?
It was 11.
Sorry, I don't know why 16 came to my head, but
That
they
was
won
the
11 games in a row.
That was the weakest 11-game schedule I've ever seen.
And we can agree that it was probably the weakest undefeated team in the history of the
Yeah.
NFL. But 11 games is 11.
Let's get back to the
I
don't want to talk about these guys.
But to be consistent, I think it just comes down to Mike Tomlin.
They're consistent. They're right. They've lost to the Browns 2 times in a row.
Oh, that's awesome. So, but for me, the Cardinals are still your 4th team in this division?
Yeah, because their head coach sucks.
Really?
That was based off what we were just talking about. I get pairing.
He hasn't had much production.
He's not good. How have
Is
you
it
had
Kingsbury?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how have you had Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, and you've never been that good of a team?
That's
Could you imagine if the Lions had all 3 of those? They would have made it to the playoffs one time.
On paper, though, this team's got a real chance to win a lot of great games. This division's going to be so exciting. And the 49ers, looking at the injury reserve list from last year, let's see what they're bringing back.
That's an all-star team.
It is.
Kittle.
It's so impressive.
Everyone except Jimmy Garoppolo was really good on the injury reserve team. He sucks. He's not.
I'm not here for the Garoppolo slander.
Dude, go be a model somewhere or something. That's what everyone says. He's a good-looking dude.
He'll get back with that porn star that he was hanging out with for a little bit.
I saw that.
No, Jimmy G, dude. I say Jimmy G is going to prove some people wrong this year. He's not going to break out the stat
you're
book.
right. He's going to prove some people wrong himself.
Oh, Jesus.
He's going to be in the bench when Trey Lance is starting. Trey Lance is going to finish the year.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think this is Jimmy Garoppolo's send-off, his swan song, if you will. But I think there's still a lot of young pieces on that team. So there's still going to be a great foundation for Trey if he is indeed the guy.
Yeah. Well, back to the Cardinals before we move on real quick.
Okay.
I like what they did defensively.
Have to.
Because I think
the 2 defensive ends.
Are Chandler and JJ.
Chandler's a beast.
Yeah.
And JJ.
Buddha's sweet.
Yeah. Say what you want about JJ. You know he's a locker room guy. He's a presence. Maybe that's what they've been missing, dude.
He's been double teamed his whole career.
He has. And he still produces.
Yeah. And now
I don't care. Injuries,
you can't
whatever.
get double teamed with Chandler Jones on the other side.
Dude, you can't. One of them's going to have to go free.
Yeah.
But
I love Isaiah Simmons. I think he's sweet.
He's a stud.
And I think he's
Talk about modeling, bro. He had some photo shoot the other day. Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
Bro, pull up his Instagram real quick while we're sitting here because I want you to see. Dude, all the guys were freaking out too in the comments because he's like not really a guy for all that, you know? So all of his teammates and stuff are just bugging out in the comments like, oh, he's big time now, like all that stuff. You should pull that up, though. I think that's hilarious. But Isaiah Simmons, I remember him in college. He was insane in college.
America's Next Top Model.
Yep.
He did like
you see it?
Yeah.
Right? Right? I wasn't tripping. I knew it.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. So I saw that.
I love that guy. I think he's
something
awesome.
about Arizona, bro.
But yeah, I think he's awesome. So I think
he's great for that.
They're losing Patrick Peterson, even though Patrick Peterson's not Patrick Peterson of old.
Yeah, I was gonna say
still gonna suck.
Yeah.
But
the impact
they got Buda Baker back there. This should be good. So
yeah.
I think they're gonna finish in 4th.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of was gonna come in here and argue.
Coach.
I was gonna come in here and argue with that, but I just don't know if I can, considering the Rams situation. I say they're number 1 team in the division.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? I think the Seahawks are poised to either have a breakout year or a breakdown year.
Yeah, I feel like it's hot or cold.
It's teetering.
Yeah.
And you just don't know which side it's going to fall.
I agree.
But it seems like there's so much shit brewing in Seattle that we just don't know how it's going to end up. And I'm a big, I like Russ. I like Pete Carroll.
I love Pete Carroll. I think he's a good guy.
Really like Pete Carroll. Good guy. I mean, I think he's a good coach, too.
I love DK. Everyone hates on DK because DK's a stud.
Personality,
if he starts actually catching those crossing routes and those things,
he's got room to improve. That's the scary for me. That's the scariest part of his game because he's already so physically dominant, and the ceiling you can't even see it yet, right? No. There's still so much room for him to improve, and I think that's the scariest part of his game is that nobody knows where he's going to stop.
Yeah,
if he does.
So okay, now if we're talking about 3rd and 2nd, I really think we both agree the Rams are the best team.
Yeah,
because
I'm going to go ahead and say 49ers in 2nd.
Okay, that's how.
And then I say Cardinals and Seahawks battle for 3 and 4. I'm not going to lock Cardinals in at 4.
Okay,
but that's kind of hot take. Considering what the Seahawks did that last year, it's hard to say. But for me, I'm just bought in for this 49ers team. I really think the energy is going to be there for that squad. They get all those guys back.
You had me thinking now. I'm thinking about these I'm thinking about the Cardinals maybe not being the 4th team. I think the 49ers might be the 4th team.
What?
Because who do they got besides Kittle on offense and Mostert? Who are they throwing the ball to? Brandon Ayuk and Debo?
Debo Samuel's a stud.
Okay.
Dude, Ayuk's going to have a breakout year. I say, dude, he had a good rookie year.
But like,
he had a solid rookie year.
I forgot about D-Hop.
Oh, yeah.
And AJ Green's on the Cardinals now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it Bengals?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The Cardinals might be
the
a little bit better than we thought.
Yeah.
I thought they would be.
I'm telling you, dude, the 49ers offense gets it done. They just get it done, man. I think so.
Fine.
Mosert's a good back. You know, he's not a great back. He's a good back.
Yeah.
Like he's a solid back. He's consistent back, which I think is what
you
really need.
Multiple backs anyway.
They did. It's kind of changed because on that Super Bowl run,
it was like
they had that stable
Tevin Coleman.
Yep, of like 3 of them, right? Yeah. Especially in the NFC Championship game against Green Bay where Mostert stood out. But dude, don't discredit Debo Samuel.
No, I'm not discrediting him.
Stud.
I'm just saying
he was insane on that playoff run.
He's more of a offensive weapon, as you will, I should say,
than a receiver.
Yeah, I feel like
I can kind of agree. They like to get him on the jet sweep type.
Yeah, exactly.
They do. Ayuk's more of a wide receiver, I think.
Ayuk was kind of screwed over from not having a consistent quarterback. I feel like Josh Rosen was playing for them eventually.
Yeah,
that's the first mistake.
Yeah, so I would agree with that, and I think
Robert Saleh is going to be a huge you got to replace that D coordinator.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Calls a different game.
I did not think about that. Yeah.
Screw Nick Bosa, too. That's why I don't like the 49ers, just because Nick Bosa.
He's coming back. He's coming back healthy, bro. He is a menace.
Don't like him.
You know what?
You're
a Baker guy. You can't like Bosa and Baker. That's just not. I mean, I do. I like them both.
No, my brother and I were talking about we were going through like the NBA. Who do you hate the most? Whatever.
Oh, geez, Bosa was up that far
for the NFL. Juju,
yeah.
Claypool, top 2.
Okay,
they're in their own
easy,
tier.
Easy, bro. That's elite.
I'd say Bosa probably 3, and I'd say Lamar 4. I respect Lamar though.
All these divisional opponents, and then just Bosa in the mix,
and just Nick Bosa. But
the flag is it solely because of the flag?
Yeah, it solely is because of, and he's an Ohio State guy.
Okay, that's very true. I'm not a big Ohio State guy, but just his production, you can't argue with.
He's really good.
He's and I think he's in.
But he's coming off a very major injury.
But think about this is for me is what's very interesting is that him and Saquon Barkley are coming off the same injury. Look at how their comeback is viewed so much differently. Saquon is being hyped up he's coming back better than ever. He's going to dominate. And then you talk about Nick Bosa. You don't think Nick Bosa's been doing the same recovery shit that Saquon's been doing?
I feel like as a running back, I feel like more people have came off injuries as running backs.
I'd say it'd be harder to be a running back and come off an injury like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Talk about the movement and stuff that you do.
I just look at Adrian Peterson when he came off that ACL surgery, then had an NFL MVP year.
That's true. That's very true. But Adrian Peterson can also not be the standard. He's the exception.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. But I've always viewed Saquon Barkley as the same talent as.
That's a fair point, though. If you're going to put them at that same caliber, then he should. Yeah, that's a good point. But I just think from a movement standpoint of what your position is asked to do on a football field.
Nick Bosa is also kind of injury prone, essentially. Look at his last 3 years of playing football. He got hurt his rookie year, and he was hurt at Ohio State.
Was he?
Yeah. Remember he played 3 games at Ohio State and was done.
Yeah. Okay.
He tore something in his So
can he break the stint?
Yeah,
break the curse?
exactly.
Yeah.
So essentially, that's why I forgot about that, but I'm going to add to the fact that I think that's why I'm a little hesitant about him.
I think he's an energy guy that they need back too, though. I think that's his impact on the field cannot be overstated.
Him and Kittle are like the 2 energy guys. One's on offense, one's on defense. They bring the energy.
Yeah, I think Bosa's. Yeah, they do it in different ways, but they both get that job done. I would agree with that statement.
Okay,
I'd agree with that. Do the Seahawks address the offensive line issue?
The Seahawks,
if they don't, they're just gonna piss off Russ, and he ain't gonna be cooking nothing.
No, Russell Wilson.
He'll be cooking on the turf. Is what he'll be cooking, dude.
I don't like. What's crazy? What's crazy is I didn't like how Russell Wilson was so MVP, and then what happened?
Let Russ cook.
What happened?
Dude, I don't know.
Kitchen's closed. DK's in there. He's
Somebody
like,
shut down the restaurant, bro.
Throw me the ball.
Oh my gosh.
And then I'll tell you what. I don't like how sometimes these quarterbacks. Russell Wilson's on a Super Bowl, so you got to give it to him. You got respect.
Been there, done that.
Sometimes these quarterbacks are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be here. Like, look at Rodgers. I don't want to be here. Then why'd you sign with him? Why did DeAndre or Deshaun Watson sign all that for all that money.
That is a great example. We haven't talked about him in a minute too, and we won't get it all into it today because there's not really anything new to report. But
and then Russell Wilson, you signed this record-breaking contract. You wanted to be in Seattle,
and now you're all pissing and moaning.
Let's go Hawks. That's how you ended every interview, and now you're all pissed.
And he stopped. That was a big deal. That was a big deal when he didn't do that in the interview.
But what? Yeah, why are you pointing the finger? You sucked in the playoffs. You didn't have 200 yards.
Yeah.
You had this MVP season brewing, and then you sucked again.
Well, he spent $1 million on his recovery and all that stuff.
Yeah,
maybe he needs to spend his more money on some training and some other things.
I don't know. You do something. You got the money. Your wife makes more than you do.
Oh my goodness,
she does. But
does she act? You know that
I think
for a
she
fact?
does. Well, Tom Brady's wife does.
Giselle does.
Yeah, Tom Brady is like not
yeah,
rich.
He's criminally underpaid for what he does.
Well,
but
of course.
But I mean, with that, I mean, it doesn't matter to him, dude.
But essentially, I mean, you could say the same thing that I'm saying right now about our guy in Los Angeles when he signed with the Lions. What were you thinking? You had no reason to sign with the Lions. There was no future.
It's right in here, man.
Yeah, I guess it was just all heart.
That's
and now he finally. I'll tell you what.
He's thinking with this. He's not thinking with this.
I'll tell you what. If he sucks this year, I'm losing. I can't support him anymore. Like I can support him. I can support him. But I can't be like, he's so underrated. He's so this. You have everything.
Yeah.
You have everything.
That would really hurt. That would really hurt.
You have a top 5 head coach. You have very good weapons on the outside.
There's no more excuses.
You have an up-and-coming running back. You have the best defense in the NFL. If you don't win that division, I can't say he's underrated anymore. I can say he's overrated.
Okay. I think division might be a little bit, but like playoffs at least.
You got to win a playoff game. He has to win a playoff game.
I'm agreeing. I don't think you have to win the division to be
because you can – essentially, because essentially,
like we just said, toughest division in football.
And the NFC East is weak. So let's just say that they came in second in the division. Let's just say the 49ers won the division. They came in second in the division. I was just saying random team. I'm not picking the 49ers to win the division. Let's say the Rams come in second and they go play the football team.
Yeah.
If Stafford loses that game against the football team, Stafford's done.
He's getting written off. I'm agreeing with you. I think that just depending on the year that
because
whatever
Jared
team
Goff won a playoff game last year with a broken hand.
Yeah, he did. Broken thumb.
Whatever it was. Same difference.
He's going to ball out for the boys this year, so it don't matter.
Okay. Yeah, but still. I'm talking Stafford. Like right now. Stafford, your top 5 your top 5 MVP
that will
right
suck,
now.
And that will bring a lot of people down if that indeed does happen. I think that would just crush a lot of people.
Sean McVay's got to be looked at like, dude, this is who you want.
Yeah. You know what? That might be the only person that hurts a little bit more than Stafford is McVay because he has.
I can't have Jared Goff. That's what he was saying. He said Jared Goff's the problem why we can't win. Now you got a guy who we all believe is
McVay was the coach of the future, remember?
Yes.
And now he's kind of dropped off.
But I still think he's a top 5 coach.
Oh, he's a great coach.
Yeah.
But he was this.
He was the
next up and coming
self-proclaimed Jim Harbaugh. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly.
And so you gotta look at McVay now as you have a guy who we all believe is head and shoulders above Jared Goff.
Mm-hmm.
You have the number one.
Now you got to make it work.
You have the best, arguably the best player in the NFL.
Yeah.
You have the best cover guy in the NFL.
Ramsey.
You lost a couple guys to yours truly, the Cleveland Browns, in the defensive backfield. But you can clean that up. Yeah. You have Jalen Ramsey. You can clean up anything with Jalen Ramsey.
Because if you can take away the number one on a team, that's a different dynamic.
That's all that matters. Not all that matters, but that's a huge factor.
It's the most. I agree.
If you can take away DK Metcalf and DeAndre Hopkins from Kyler and Russell Wilson, then what else do you need?
That just changes the dynamic of the game.
You have Aaron Donald.
That's the purpose of that sport. Yeah. So if you take away that, and then you factor in the fact that
you're Leonard Floyd,
defensive line too. That front seven's pretty stout. So,
who's her linebacker?
It'll be really interesting. I don't know actually, coming off the top of my head. Neither do you.
No.
Yeah.
But Cam Akers gonna be a big steal for them.
Cam Akers gonna be he's a stud, man. He's stud in the making right now. But that's all we've got for Division I Rejects today. If you've made it this far and you're still listening, man. It's impressive. I don't know what you're doing, but it's impressive. You know, you've heard us banter for a long ass time. But thank you so much. I appreciate you. Remember to find us on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, appreciate y'all. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, Anchor, Breaker. Dude, it's everywhere. Thank you so much. If you like it, tell a friend. If you don't. Simple as that. Thank you. Kobe Manzo, Division I Rejects.